especially with the preconceptions that people have around black people. The best thing you can do is show up early, dress well, make sure that you're wearing the appropriate dress code for that type of meeting, like smiling throughout the interview, making sure I held eye contact and making sure that I was eloquent in my speech. Can't always do that, but definitely making sure that in those interviews I was speaking as best as possible. You want to have a structure to the way that you answer questions, and the best way for you to do this is know your CV like the back of your hand. Making sure that you've looked over your CV, you know every part of the CV that they're going to ask questions about, and you also have a true understanding of the organization's principles. Hi guys, my name's Ruben. I'm one of the co-founders of the Black Apprentice Network, and today I'm going to be talking about interview tips. I have 3 for you today, but I'm also going to add stories because you know how it is. So the first one I'm going to talk about for, let's say this is your apprenticeship, this is your early careers, this is you just getting into your first role after university, or even if you're looking for that promotion. First one I'm going to talk about is be personable. Being personable means being likable as possible. So whether that means cracking a joke mid-interview, knowing the interviewer quite well, maybe doing a bit of LinkedIn research before you get into that interview, and just making sure that your character is a trait that shows throughout. You're well-mannered. You are a person who didn't show up late. Punctuality is definitely a big thing, especially with the preconceptions that people have around black people. The best thing you can do is show up early, dress well, make sure that you're wearing the appropriate dress code for that type of meeting. Don't show up to a finance interview in sweats and a hoodie. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to make sure that you're wearing the suit. You want to be buttoned up well. You want to have your tie up. You want to make sure you're fresh and clean. If it's not that type of setting, make sure you're just wearing the necessary clothing. For me, this represented in me making sure that I was as early as possible. I definitely do have an issue with lateness when it comes to friends. But when it came to interviews, I had to nip that in the bud. Showing up early to that interview, wearing my freshest suit at the time. I remember when I was doing my KPMG interview, I made sure that I was like in the best lighting possible, like smiling throughout the interview, making sure I held eye contact and making sure that I was eloquent in my speech. Can't always do that, but definitely making sure that in those interviews I was speaking as best as possible, and making sure that I was the type of person that they would enjoy being around in general, not just because of my hobbies or what things I liked, etc., but mainly because I was a well-mannered, young, polite, funny, likable person. And that's definitely that's probably going to take you 50% of the way. A lot of these interviewers and HR people and hiring managers are looking for, who would we enjoy having in this company? Who's a good fit for this company? And a lot of that comes across through niceness and personality alone. So the second tip that I'm going to give you is authenticity. I think this is the biggest point. I remember in my interview for Amazon, I started talking about how I do kickboxing, how I work with the Black Apprentice Network, and all of the different types of tasks that I do across my day. And I think one of the things with authenticity is important because you might strike a chord with your interviewer. Let's say, for example, you're a supporter of this team. Turns out your interviewer even supports the opposite team. There's now a conversation start or a direction that you can go down, or a joke that you're going to have between you and the interviewer. This kind of creating rapport, make sure that there's a relationship between you and your interviewer, a few more jokes that you can crack for you to become even more personable, but also just a general connection that humanizes you within that interview. It makes you a lot less stiff as well. I know that in my interview, once I started talking about kickboxing and heard a couple questions, I was like, oh, cool. Also, I know that one of my friends is going to say, don't talk about kickboxing. It's actually Muay Thai. It is Muay Thai. You're probably right. But yeah, you want to talk about the things that you're actually interested in, so you can start talking about like your personal life so that they can understand what type of person you are, and you can represent that through the STAR method as well. So what I'm going to talk about next is being concise. You want to have a structure to the way that you're answering these questions. The STAR method is the best one to have. Situation, task, action, result. And if you're really good, add evaluation. So situation means describing the scenario. So the scenario that needs to be solved, the dilemma. Task means what things you have to do to solve it. Actions is what you actually done to resolve the issue, and result is always, the end result. What happened? What was the impact that you had on the scenario? And make sure that you have metrics. Make sure that you have like a good description using KPIs or key terminology that make sure that you understand, make sure they know that you understand what you're talking about, and make sure that this accurately represents your technical capacity. Technical skills are probably the most important thing that you want to represent in your interview, because it's going to be all about how well are you going to be able to do the role that they need you to do. You want to be able to show that you're talented, you're capable, and you're able to do the role that they're hiring you to do. Also, one of the things about being concise is just making sure that you're able to accurately represent as much as you want without ranting or rambling. You want to have a structure to the way that you answer questions, and the best way for you to do this is know your CV like the back of your hand. Making sure that you've looked over your CV, you know every part of the CV that they're going to ask questions about, and you also have a true understanding of the organization's principles so that you can, at the end, relate the result and impact towards the type of result and impact that they like to see on their projects. So whether that means looking through the sustainability reports, whether that means looking at recent projects that they're working on, or even looking at the person's LinkedIn and seeing what projects they've worked on and the outcome of that, tying those and making the similarity between that so that you seem like a good fit for that company. That type of research shows that you're very passionate and care about the company. And if you are actually passionate and care about the company, there's a high chance that there's going to be a level of relationship that you can build with this hiring manager. That might mean that you get a call back after. I think it's very important for you to come across likable, relatable, as well as just very skilled. That's the presentation that you want to show to that manager, and it'll definitely take you most of. I think one final tip is definitely build relationships between people within the organization. The best way for you to do that is reaching out to people on LinkedIn, and to be honest, joining the Black Apprentice Network. So joining this community of 5,000 people, 4,000 or 5,000 of which are currently aspiring apprentices, and then 1,000 of which are current apprentices within different organizations. This means you can connect to a group of people who are within the same field that you want to do. You can do mock interviews, you can get a mentor or reach out to people who are currently in the industry that you want to work in, ask a couple questions and help yourself understand what do you want to do. Help yourself understand what they want to see as well, the interviewers, the company, and help other people as well. We have a lot of ambassadors coming in, and we have a lot of people who are helping out on different programs. So make sure that you're building those relationships, going on LinkedIn, being as shameless as possible. No matter how many rejections, how many people air you on LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. You want to get as many replies as possible so you can understand that industry. Just make sure that you tune in, make sure that you join the network, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because we're going to have more bangers, more tips, and more advice. Even look out for our podcast, Professionalish, which should be coming soon. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining the Black Apprentice Network.